Welcome, welcome, welcome. Week 4. We're kind of zooming through this week. I just wanted to give you a few quick notes. I know some people are finishing up papers and things like that. And I did want to give you a few quick reminders. Be sure to make the most out of the textbook. It's a great source. Be aware that you can quote Muse, and don't forget to use the library. All of these sources are there to help you cover as much information and to get as much as possible from the course. So this is something you want to keep in mind. Don't just stop at the Muse information. Be sure to check out the textbook. Yeah, you know, obviously that helps you with IntelliPath, but it may also help you find some information for your papers. So that's just a quick reminder. IntelliPath, you can revise. I have submitted some revisions. You should be seeing those pop up periodically. Don't ignore that. Make sure that you're getting in there and you're revising when you can. Don't necessarily even wait for me. If there's something that you think you can do better, or a part of, you know, unit 1 or unit 2 or unit 3, any of these units, go back and do it, particularly if you have the time. For the discussion board, we are looking at selecting a company and product that you use and talk about their distribution channel. How is the product getting out? What other channels are they using? I'm going to talk about distribution here, but that's what we're talking about. Distribution is an important part of marketing. If you think about the ability to buy a product online, or buy the product at Target, or buy the product at Walmart, and then, you know, you can go to a physical store. All of these things are options and choices that companies make, and it's a very thoughtful process. So for this week, you're talking about distribution in the paper, but you're also talking about how is the company getting the word out? What sort of promotional materials are they using? And then a general summary. So it's 3 paragraphs, 12 sentences minimum. So 1 paragraph talking about distribution, 1 paragraph talking about promotion, and 1 summation of the paper. Now, for promotion, how's the company getting the word out? Do they have a website? Are they sending mailers? Do they have a YouTube channel? Are they on Instagram? Do they use Twitter? Do they have celebrity endorsement? Are they sponsoring nonprofit or fundraising, other options by other fundraising options from other companies? So are they being a sponsor for something? All of these are things that we are considering with this Unit 4 paper. So be sure to dig into that and think about, how does the company get the word out? Do they have a mailing list? Are they in a magazine? Do they have a billboard? These are all promotional techniques. Do they have a radio ad? Are they a YouTube ad for other, on other sites? These are all options. So don't just dig into all the different ways that they get the word out about the product and talk about it in 1 paragraph. That's it, or more. If you want to write more, go for it. I talked about this briefly last time. You don't want to ignore the fact that companies are choosing their business based on how they are in relation to the competition. So they want to think about that. You can think about how. Let me share this video with you. I'm going to share a video. This is a H&M's Loop video. And when we think about promotion, this is something that we may want to consider when we think about our paper. So let me open this up for you. Just give me a second. I'm going to play an ad that is running before what I want to show you. So there, all right. All right, so we're going to watch this ad and then come back.
H&M has democratized fashion to the world. But with great fashion clout comes great responsibility. Right now, 87% of clothing ends up as landfill. In its mission to change this, H&M introduced Loop, the world's first in-store garment-to-garment recycling system. Developed by the Hong Kong Research Institute of Textiles and Apparel and the H&M Foundation, Loop remakes your old garments over 8 steps. Fabric is shredded back into fibers, spun into yarn before it's knitted into something new, without water or chemicals. This story of transformation begins at H&M's flagship store in Stockholm. A striking yarn installation leads customers up into the remake space. An app connects customers with Loop to configure their remake order, selecting size and garment design, to turn old into new right in front of their eyes. In fact, anyone can watch Loop recycle and discover the process within as it unravels over 8 immersive screens. Art to explain the science. ASMR sounds heighten the garment's transformation. A website shares Loop's story with the world, with a group of inspiring changemakers kickstarting the recycling revolution.
It's not about just getting rid of what's old and what doesn't work. It's about leaning into the potential of what can happen when you make something brand new.
Times to remake were booked up by the public within minutes, for months in advance. But Loop in Stockholm is just the beginning. With the technology made available to the entire industry, and the word spread, to help us all change how we see our old garments, not as waste, but as a resource.
Okay. Oops.
H&M has
Sorry. So that is, I think, a really well done video. It definitely is there. You know, you saw that and it compelled you to think about how the products are manufactured, how the waste is dealt with, but it definitely connected you to the brand and left you with a positive feeling about the brand. And that is something that good promotion can do. So when you are thinking about promotion and you're digging into that for the paper, think about how does the company get the word out and is it effective? Is it good at reaching the target market? That is something you can talk about in the paper. Some of this is your opinion, but there are articles out there talking about advertising and you know, promotional campaigns. So you may be able to find resources to help you. The textbook has some great information on promotion as well. So don't be shy to analyze and think and say, hey, this was a campaign they ran for the company that I've been studying. You know, I watched several of the videos. You don't want to say I, but you'd say the campaign was focused on reaching this target market. This was the way that they you know, strove, or they tried to reach this market because they used imagery with this and this type of sounds. You can describe how the ad campaign works, and that can be a part of this paragraph that you're writing. All right, so I want to do a quick walkthrough talking about APA format in relation to the paper. So some general guidelines, and you can stop the video here. If you're watching this recorded, you're welcome to stop this and check out what's on this video. So general guidelines are: you have Times New Roman, you have 12-point font, double-spaced paper, 1-inch margins all the way around your paper. Page numbers are in the upper right corner. The header that goes at the very top of each page contains a capitalized title in the upper left-hand corner. Major headings are going to be centered and in bold. Minor headings are going to be aligned left and bold. And so these are some general guidelines. I want you to realize that format matters. I try not to be super harsh on it in this class, because I know that this is a new concept for a lot of students, and I know that you are potentially going to be struggling to pick up on all of this super quickly. But be aware that as you work your way through your degree, these guidelines are going to become more and more, I guess you'd say, enforced. In general, all papers at AIU should be following APA format. This is what a cover page looks like, right? With the 1-inch margins all the way around. You've got your running header, you've got your title. On a regular page, you see the running header here in the upper left-hand corner. You indent, you can see the bold little headers, method and results. And when you look at a reference page, the word references is centered at the top of the page. You still have that same running header. And then you list references alphabetically, right? Carlson, Litt, Sigmund. And then the additional lines for the individual reference are tabbed in, sorry. Once you start this format in Microsoft Word, Word recognizes what you're doing, and they will continue to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about distribution. We're going to think about how companies select, motivate, and evaluate different channel members, and what is the nature and importance of marketing logistics. You think about Uber and how it really changed things, right? Uber lets people, and it's not the only company, but we'll just talk about Uber. They can hail the nearest cab from any location on a smartphone app. You track the vehicle, you see who's coming. And this revolutionized the way people went from point A to point B. And they changed the urban transportation across the world. And the thing is that distribution is not just for physical products, it's also for services. So a marketing channel or distribution channel that we're focusing on is a set of interdependent organizations that help make a product or service available for use or consumption. A company's channel decisions directly affect every other marketing decision. Pricing, right? Pricing depends on whether the company works nationally or uses high quality specialty stores or sells directly to consumers online. Whether the company develops or acquires new products may depend on how well the products actually fit within the channel members. Companies, I will say, often pay too little attention to their distribution channels. Distribution channel decisions do involve long-term commitments to other companies. And so management really needs to design their channels carefully. Producing a product or service and making it available to buyers requires building relationships not only with customers, but also with your key suppliers and your resellers in the company's supply chain. And the company supply chain is everybody upstream who supplied things for you and everybody downstream who helps you sell, right? Upstream is everybody that supplies your raw materials, your components, your parts, your information, your finances, all of that. Downstream, your wholesalers, your retailers, and that's a vital link between your company and your customers. And so that's important to consider. A value delivery network is made up of the company, the suppliers, the distributors, the customers who partner with each other to improve the performance of the entire system. And that's, if you think about Pepsi, right? Pepsi markets a whole bunch of products and they have a whole variety of different soft drinks, but also other types of products that they sell. And they have this huge network within the company working to manage the product getting made to getting on the shelf. Here you can see, for example, the process for a bed sheet company, which might seem kind of silly, but think about it. You gotta get the product itself. If you're going to have cotton, right? There's a whole process for getting cotton from the picked stage to actually being able to be making fabric out of it. You have to compress it into a bale and crimp it and dry it and cut it and all of that to get it to a warehouse. And once you get it to the warehouse, you have all the manufacturing processes to that where you're, and they're detailed on this slide. You store the yarn at the manufacturer staging area, and then you have to open and lay it down, blend the bales, card and clean, all these things to get good quality cotton. You then, and if you have polyester, it's going to be something totally different, right? It's a chemical process. And so you get all the fabric comes in, and then how do I make my product? And there's all these steps for making the material to make the bed sheets. And that's before it ever gets cut and stored to order. And then you end up in the store with a finished good inventory. And then where does it go? It might go to one store and then another store. It might be going from a wholesaler to a retailer. That's a lot of different people involved in the product. Same thing for like coffee, right? You have the growers involved, the picking involved, the processing involved, the milling involved, the roasting. All of these different steps are involved in making sure that the product is getting to you in such a way that you expect it. People don't, I actually used to roast my coffee. It can be a challenge to roast coffee. So, and to get the right flavor, all of this, and there's 10 steps involved for this slide. So as I said, for example, Pepsi manages this extensive value delivery network to get their sodas, but also all of the Lay's potato chips and the Cheetos and the Ruffles and everything else to you. And so, and then they have a promotional message. For example, Pepsi Live for Now was their promotional message for a while. They're going to have that across all their different platforms as well. So there's a lot of coordination that goes into this. So producers use intermediaries because they create greater efficiency in making goods available to target markets. And from the economic systems point of view, the role of marketing intermediaries is to transform that assortment of products made by producers into assortments wanted by consumers. So marketing channel members buy large quantities from many producers, break them down, and try to put them into assortments that consumers want and expect. And in making product and services available to consumers, channel members are adding value. They're bridging time, place, possession, things that will help consumers feel good about purchasing the product. Members of the marketing channel, they're going to get information about consumers. They're going to be watching the marketing environment. They're going to be developing their own promotions, right? Wholesalers and retailers have their own promotions going. They're going to be engaging with customers. They're going to be shaping a bundle to meet the customer's needs, negotiating. Now, some companies will offer financing, and they'll take some of the risk of helping consumers as well. From the producer's perspective, the greater the number of channel levels, that means you have less and less control and things get more and more complex. That makes sense, right? So if I'm manufacturing a product and I'm directly selling to the consumer, that's pretty simple. But if I've got 20 different retailers I'm working with, plus a website, plus all these other different things, it gets more and more complex. And, again, requires more management and more supply chain analytics to understand that. Here you can see in part A, for example, on the left-hand side, this figure shows several consumer distribution channels. You might be able to sell directly to consumers, producer to consumer, or you might have a retailer or a wholesaler and a retailer. These are indirect. These two, channels 2 and 3 here, are considered indirect marketing channels and or distribution channels. And channel 1 is a direct distribution channel. Business markets here on the right side, same thing. You've got producer to customer. That's also a direct marketing channel. And then you can have business distributor or manufacturer's representative or sales branch. These are indirect channels. Now, why do we use these intermediaries? Why are we not just selling everything directly to consumers? Well, if you're a farmer and you farm tomatoes, that could be here in the manufacturer here. Let me get a little highlighter. I'll get a get a laser pointer. So here you get the manufacturer, right? The manufacturer can then have to get their tomatoes to customer 1, tomatoes to customer 2, tomatoes to customer 3. Same thing for the lettuce, same thing for the dairy farmer, right? They can sell directly to consumers, but it's a lot of work, particularly with food products, to get it directly to each consumer. But if you have a grocery store, everything becomes much easier. I get my large quantity of tomatoes to that particular grocery store, and I then don't have to worry about multiple customers and all of that. Utilizing one distributor requires a lot less work for me as opposed to trying to reach all of the consumers myself. So that's a real reason as to why distributors are really quite useful. Each layer of marketing intermediaries that perform some work in bringing the product and ownership closer to a final buyer, this is called a channel level, because both the producer and the final consumer perform some work. They're part of every channel. In this figure, you can see the producer sells directly to the consumer in segment 1, goes through retailers in segment 2, goes through distributors and dealers for business segment 1, and then Salesforce directly to segment 2. So they do both direct, which are the edges, the outside, and indirect, which is when you have those dealers, retailers, retailers, dealers, and distributors. A conventional distribution system is one or more independent producers, wholesalers, and retailers. Each in this category is a separate business seeking to maximize its own profits, perhaps even at the expense of the system as a whole. No channel member has that much control over the other channel members. In contrast, a vertical marketing system consists of producers, wholesalers, and retailers acting as a unified system. One channel member may own the others or have so much power that everybody listens to them. Now, when we think about vertical marketing systems, there are 3 options. You have a corporate vertical marketing system where all the stages of production and distribution are under one single ownership. Contractual vertical marketing is independent firms at different levels of production that have joined together because of contracts. It could be your franchisee sort of thing. That's the most common type of this. An administered vertical marketing system coordinates all the stages of production and distribution, again, through the size and power of one of the parties. Now, a horizontal marketing system is where 2 or more companies at one level join together. So when Walmart has a McDonald's inside, they are both helping each other. Walmart has happier customers because they're not hungry. Although I will say, I think I buy more things when I'm hungry. And McDonald's is benefiting from a new audience to buy their burgers. So it's a win-win. Another example of horizontal marketing would be General Mills and Nestle, right? And they have cereal partners worldwide. And they make, they market General Mills Big G cereal brands outside of North America. Almost every large company and a lot of small ones go through multiple channels, and that's called multi-channel distribution. And so there's a lot of advantages, right? With each new channel, you're reaching a new market, opportunity to tailor your products and services. It is harder to control. You can have more conflict because you've got different people selling the same product, perhaps at different prices. But potentially you're going to reach more customers and it should be better for you. Marketing channel design calls for analyzing consumer needs, setting channel objectives, identifying the alternatives, and evaluating it. Designing the marketing channel starts with finding out what the target consumers want from the channel. What's most important? Is it price? Is it speed? Is it keeping it in an air-conditioned environment? What is most important, and how can we make sure that our distribution channel is doing that? And we also need to look at what's going on with the competition. You know, is the competition doing something unique? Do we need to be keeping that in mind as we think about our own distribution options. And that is really what I wanted to dig into for today's presentation. I wanted you to have a solid understanding of what we think about when we think about our marketing channel design. It's important to keep in mind that customers have expectations from the distribution, and we need to meet it. But for example, if your product is being sold online, but people are really happy with it'll take 5 days to get here, they don't need it tomorrow, they're okay with a week later, then you can make things less expensive, shipping is cheaper, and everybody gets what they want. If the type of product you're selling is something that people always want it now, they need it yesterday, then you need to make sure that that's built into your channel design and that you've given it consideration. And that's it. That's what I've got for today. I hope all is well wherever you are. If you're having questions, if you're having concerns, please be sure to reach out and let me know. I'm here to help. And I'll see you on the discussion boards. Thanks.